Oh,
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Clodcast. I'm your host Ben, and I'm here with the number one co-host who is always here, Roy.
hey, we're here to give Pate general advice and not just roast him.
Yes, so as you can see, the video zoomed in on Pate's record of this season. Why are we doing this? Grimmetz won his bet, and Grimmetz wanted us to talk about Pate's season, give constructive criticism on what Pate could have done better, and just review the games of his season. So, for starters, as you can see, Pate finished number 14 in Whooper, the lowest div currently, and went 2-7 minus 18. So, you can already see some things went horribly wrong.
There's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, it is a big fall off from his last two seasons. Like last season, he still did bad, but not too bad. And the season before, he actually did very well.
Yeah.
So
I will say he did get a 3-6-0 dub because he faced a person who was weak to Ogapon.
yeah. Anyways, what we are doing.
That's not even a joke, by the way. That's actually serious.
Pate has provided us with all of the pastes of his game, so we are going to look into the pastes and into the opposing team and see what he could have done differently with the sets. But yeah, going into week 1, Pate faced Flower Sniffer, and this is his paste. He brought a Choice Band Palafin,
Which is fair.
Which is fair. It is. Like, Choice Band Palafin is always good, and he was facing a rain team, so those wave crashes and jet punches hit even harder. Then, Sticky Web does make sense. Stun Spore as well. The Rabombi set isn't too bad. I don't get the boots personally, because if you're using Rabombi, aren't you using it as a lead mostly? Because it will get outsped by a lot of the rain sweepers.
Yeah. No. I don't hate Scarf Latios into rain. That's not a bad shout. It's actually quite good mon with Scarf into rain, so I don't hate that move.
Yeah, with Scarf it can still outspeed some rain threats, so it's a very good bring.
I will say this: there is like no pivoting on the top on either Palafin or on Latios.
Yeah, no pivoting here. Also, no pivoting on the Blastoise down there. The Blastoise came offensively as well, which is interesting because the Blastoise could have acted as a defensive Pokemon for you here, because it will still do enough damage. The Terrain Pulse is here because Flower has a Tapu Koko. Which
That's cool. Honestly, I rate that bring. That actually is a bring I rate. I actually like that bring.
If we're looking,
that's a cool. I'll give Pate credit for that one.
Okay, where is Flower's team? Down here. The viewers cannot see it right now. Give me a moment. There we go. There is Flower's team. So, Flower's team consists of Tornti, Archaludon, Overquill, Tapu Koko, Swampert Mega, Pelipper, Shaman, Bronzong, and Munchlax. Based on what Pate has brought so far, he barely has any switch-ins into some mons.
He can't switch into Torn. Well, Rotom Heat can, but Weather Ball basically nukes it.
Yeah, the Rotom Heat is Terra Steel here. And the Quillfish is Spadef invested, so it will take some of the Spadef hits. But on the physical side, you definitely have a problem. Because this Rotom Heat is not max defense. It is a very interesting stat spread.
No Will-O-Wisp as well, like which could catch off a Swampert Mega. What was Pate's team again at this point? Because I think they made changes.
It did make changes. It was his original team with Lando T he had as well and stuff. And especially considering the Lando T, Pate does not have an answer into Archaludon at this point on the team. Because the Quillfish will not answer Archaludon. It cannot even damage the Archaludon.
And it can't haze away its boost.
Yep. The Rotom Heat, the best thing it can do is Nightshade, but it will still take a lot of damage from Archaludon. Same with the rest of the Pokemon. So
I actually remember. I remember, like in the chat after the game as well, a lot of people ripped into him for not bringing Lando T, and I kind of get. I think if you have to bring some weird offensive set. I will say, like a tech move you could bring if you bring it with Sandtear Storm, because it's 100% accuracy in rain and also gives you like a chance to burn stuff as well. And it's got slightly more power than actually Earth Power. It's like one of the few times you'd ever bring Sandtear Storm in a singles game, in my opinion.
yeah, like a Assault Vest Landorus set could really work well again here, especially against your Charladon, because from this prep specifically, Pate is not able to answer the Archaludon. Like looking again at Flower's team, the Rotom can take Torn hits, especially when the Terra steals, because the best thing Torn can click there is inaccurate Focus Blast or weaken Heat Wave, so it works. Quillfish is also very helpful against Torn. Pate does not have an Overcool answer as well. Since he didn't bring his ground type, he also doesn't have a Coco answer. Like this Coco also goes in hard against Pate's team. Then the Swampert, again, also no check to Swampert was brought. And then obviously there's Pelipper, Shaman, Pelipper and Shaman, who are mostly like supportive roles or defensive roles. Same with the Bronzong and Munchlax. But yeah, this is what Pate brought. Definitely some improvements could be made. Like the Lando would have been is pretty much a must bring just because our Charladon is there. If you don't bring Lando, you run into the problem of not being able to beat our Charladon. Since you do have Terra Steel on Rotom. If you have Terra Ground on Rotom, it's a different story. But you do have Terra Steel. But if you go Terra Ground on Rotom, again, the Rotom gets weaker against some of the other threats.
It is a hard matchup as well, because Flower did end up going 9-0 in regular season.
Yeah. It is definitely a hard matchup for Pate to win here. But Pate
actually, can we go back to why? Sorry, I've just noticed something. Sorry, I really do apologize for interrupting.
Oh, good.
Why are you Hydro Pump over Warp Pulse? I don't know if you need the damage that badly.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that Blastoise Mega with Mega Launch, the Water Pulse is not that much weaker than a Hydro Pump. So you only run Hydro Pump if you have a very specific role you need to hit. And I don't know if Pate did the calcs for that. Because it seems like he just put speed and special attack into the Blastoise and that's it.
Yeah, and that's maybe why he needs the actual extra damage. But like maybe put Max into him and realize, I don't get a kill unless I do this, potentially. But if he didn't, I generally would recommend Water Pulse here. And I honestly, I would also be considering Flip Turn, don't get me wrong. I think more pivoting would be better. Just because I kind of want Latios and Patepic probably could do a lip pivoting in this matchup. I feel like Wave Crash does enough damage. Wave Crash and Jet Punch does enough damage where one of the moves there can be probably cut. Probably Ice Punch.
Also,
I feel like Wave Crash is doing enough there.
Another thing to mention, the Terrain Pulse is a nice bring on Blastoise because it can catch up the Pelipper, but the Pelipper is pretty free to like come in and set up the rain because the Palafin is not killing it, the Ribombee is probably not killing it, and so is the Quillfish. The only two monsters that threaten it are Latios and Rotom Heat, which Pelipper will not stay in against, so getting up the rain will be very easy for Flower in this matchup.
Yeah. I will say though, for Ribombee and Palafin, it is kind of hard to kill a Pelipper, but the Pelipper is a problem in this matchup that you need to have an answer on and plan for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I get the idea behind Ribombee and Blastoise, obviously, but having the Lando T here is just a must because of again the Archaludon, and you have 100% accurate Sear Storms, which also helps with the whole situation. A special AV Lando, because the Lando also gets Grass Knot, so you can also hit the Swampert. Like, because when you get it to -1, you probably live one hit at least, unless it's like Ice Punch. And then you can just Grass Knot it and kill it, most likely. So, definitely some prep mistakes here from Pate. Let's see if the gameplay is any better. There we go, and as mentioned before, here is the big threat Archaludon. Overcool, like all of the the two physical threats came with Overcool and this Swampert. Torin came for obvious reasons. Pelipper came for obvious reasons. The Shaman is probably a defensive set. So the only thing that didn't come was the Coco here, which would have been threatening. But with the Coconut coming, this Blastoise immediately loses a lot of its utility with the terrain pulse it would have had.
Yeah. I think I get why they didn't bring Coco. I think it's a cool tech though. I don't hate the tech. Maybe there might have been a better thought for moving stats.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Let's see what Pate leads here and what he does. So Pate leads Quillfish against the Archaludon. We immediately see Flower sees there is no Archaludon switch in on the opposing team because he sees, okay, the Rotom isn't Terra Ground and there's no Lando here. So the Archaludon is pretty free to run. They do switch it out to get the rain up. Here comes Spikes, which are just getting defogged. If you see a defogging mon in front of you, you don't keep clicking Spikes. In my opinion, like, getting a Toxic off here would have just been a lot better.
Yeah, even though, or in a Bar Barrage, yeah, like this would have been better.
Yeah, now he Bar Barrage gets the Quillfish burned. Now, if he Toxic the turn before and then Bar Barrage, there would be a lot more damage on the Pelipper now.
Yeah, because Bar Barrage is always boosted.
Yeah.
That's a nice U-turn by Flower there. And now you have Latios. I think even though you're Scarf, you have to switch out. There's no point staying in.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty standard switch here.
And then comes now the Archaludon, which is an easy switch on the Toxic, which Pate.
I don't like the Toxic. I would actually rather Spikes than actually a Toxic.
Yeah. At this point, Flower doesn't need to get the Pelipper in because Rain's still up. So I get why Pate predicted the Toxic into Pelipper, but if you didn't get up the Spike early, you could have already had that Toxic on the Pelipper, so there would have been no need to click Toxic here. Also, only having Barb Barrage is again not that good because you are literally unable to hit the Archaludon. Yeah, so a Spike here would have been a lot better. At least get a little bit of pressure off. Now,
that was an interesting. This is why, by the way, this is actually why having no flip turn is bad. By the way, because you basically just had Palafin there die for no. You basically sacked him on there to get Palafin activated.
Yeah.
So I will say giving it a salmon boost is tricky, but this is honestly part of me thinks maybe you go to Mega Blastoise first if you can. With Bombi being Sash there would have benefited because then at least you could have got some chip off as well.
Or like get a Stun Spore off or something, but because you see Flower's team. Flower's Rockers are the two of the Rain offensive mons. And Bronzong. And Bronzong was obviously not brought here. And Overquill can technically spike up. But like a Rabombi with Sash would have been a lot better here. Now Pate goes into the Palafin to try and get damage up, but here Flower reveals the Chop Hole. So this Archaludon will take another kill now. Now Pate is so hard on the back foot that I don't think there's any coming back from this game because Flower has an out into everything he still has. He does let the Archaludon go down to get in a safe switch, which makes sense. Flower can play that way now.
Yeah. This season, winning is the most important thing. So you don't need to worry about how quickly you win.
Yeah.
This is honestly where Ice Beam might have been beneficial as well.
Yeah, exactly. Here, Smart Baton in comes the Swampert, and Pate does outspeed the Swampert and kill it, which is very smart. Here, the Scarf Latios getting value, but at this point now, the Swords Dance comes up, and
it's over.
Yeah, it's pretty much over. Gunk Shot
Water's a nice Terra.
Because the Blastoise isn't bulky.
Even Terra Steel's not saving you from a liquidation.
Yep.
And Overquill will outspeed Scarf Latios. It can outspeed Mega Swampert in Rain, but not Overquill.
Yep. So yeah, definitely a hard one for Pate. I feel like a lot of this game came down to the prep being not good. Because, like, obviously, you had to sack so many months into the Archalodon because you didn't bring your ground type. I get bringing a ground type into a rain team might sound counterintuitive, but you need it against a rain team that has Archalodon, because otherwise you will get wrecked by the electro shots.
Mm-hmm.
The Scarf Latios was good. In the end, Palafin and Brabombean didn't really do anything. Quillfish also really did not do anything. Same with the Blastoise, so the only one that really did anything here is the Latios.
Yeah, Latios shot was good. Like, I think that went perfectly.
Yep. Which brings us now to week 2. In week 2, Pate faced NGNL. This is the prep Pate brought. Pate brought a Palafin set with Jet Punch, Wave Crash, Throw Chop, and Close Combat. This is a good Palafin set. This Palafin has a real problem into the matchup against NGNL because of a Quagsire. And this Quagsire can Terra, so this Terra, it can Terra either into a Ghost type or a Poison type to avoid the Drain Punch damage, and obviously with Water Absorb, it completely ignores water moves.
Yeah.
This time we do see a AV Lando. I'm guessing this is like supposed to answer these Zapdos with Stone Edge as well.
By the way, I'm just making a note here on Palafin. That's the second week in a row that he has bought banned Palafin.
Yeah. We have Soldo Latios, which makes sense. Swapping moves is always nice. Agility is nice. If you're running
I think that's a good.
If you're running Agility, maybe having Weakness Policy would be better, but I get the reason why Soldo came.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I mean, that's probably like an endgame cleaner. I don't hate that set.
Yeah. Then we have, again, a Ribombi with Webs, Moonblast, Energy Ball, this time Toxic over the Sunspore. A Toxic can be very valuable into NGNL's team.
Notice again, he's bought the same Rotom Heat and the same Humabombi set 2 weeks in a row, which is fair. Honestly, those two are like much more like more fair enough. Like
no,
those two sets.
To be fair, Pate has switched a Will-O-Wisp. It has Will-O-Wisp this time instead of Thunder Wave.
That's good.
And he did bring Girder.
The Girder's an interesting one. Yeah, I like the Girder bring.
Again, very unorthodox with the EV split on the Rotom Heat, but this is most likely the Mega Scissor answer on the team.
And it does look like they've actually put effort into it. So I think that those are going to be for a reason. You don't just like randomly put EVs like it's done for a reason. So he has put some effort into the camps this time. Because what was he facing? He was facing Mega Scissor. He was facing. Yeah. Well, wait, did he bring? Sorry, I missed it. Did he bring Flipton on the?
Nope. Again, no flip turn.
Because I know that NGNL bought a very specific set for this matchup. Can you go back to the Pate set again? I think Jakoto helped him with this one as well.
Yeah, Jakoto did.
Scroll up a minute again. Yeah, scroll up to the Pate set top. Yeah, because I remember this. I think it was like he bought Throat Chop specifically because of Terra Ghost.
Yeah, which is.
I don't.
It's technically a 50-50 bring, because if you're Throat Chop against a Terra Poison, it's pretty much useless. If you are Zen Headbutt into the Terra Ghost, it's useless. Like, it's like the 50-50 there, because both make sense.
Yeah, I will say this is one like you said about the water sub. I'm pro not bringing Flipton this time. Like, I actually don't mind not bringing Flipton. This is one of the ones. The previous match of Flipton definitely benefited because it gave you pivoting advantage, especially in rain. You were getting a lot of damage off as well, so it gave you like a chance to like form momentum and to get damage. Whereas here, until you move the Quagsire, Flipton's a bit of a risky move.
Yeah, considering also how many momentum mons Pate actually did have on this team, he only had brought momentum on Lando and Rotom Heat again. This Girder is here to probably also be a backup answer to Scizor and try and beat the Terapagos.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's NGNL's team again. Mega Scizor, Terrapagos, Iron Moth, Roaring Moon, Zapdos, Sylveon, Quagsire, Hitmontop, and Trevenant. So Pate did cover a lot with his prep. The only thing he also, like, the Sylveon is covered a little bit. The only thing he didn't cover is like a Sylveon, a offensive Sylveon with like Terra Blast to hit Rotom. That's the only thing he did not cover. The rest seems very covered though. So this is one of the better preps. Let's see if the gameplay is good. So we have a leap matchup of Quagsire versus Ribombee here. Wait, let me just go over to Pate's point of view. The Quagsire immediately Terra goes to be like the perfect answer to Palafin. Pate gets up the webs, which is pretty huge. Misses a Toxic here, which the Toxic ends up being very crucial.
Yeah, I think like the Toxic miss is rough because especially along it puts pressure on. I don't know if it's game deciding, but it is rough. Like
yeah, at this point, NGL probably knew the Lando was Spadef or AV, and NGL gets a huge Toxic here onto the Rotom.
I will say Toxic there was free because they have no Steel type this week, so Toxic is a very free move into their team.
Yeah, and now
maybe that's on a Gerda, but
yeah, here's a big mistake. Pate Willow into the Sylveon, which I don't know why you would Willow into a Zapdos as well. Toxic on both of the Mons would always be better. So you know the Quags are already not a ground type anymore, so Volt Switch would have been very free here. Which now he clicks the Volt Switch finally. So basically he made the Sylveon immune to burn. Immune to Toxic, I meant. And let his Rotom take a little more poison damage. So not the best turn for Pate here. Now he brings in the Landorus, which again will take a hit from Sylveon, but as you can see, this Landorus cannot come in another time on Sylveon, and Pate does not have any Wish Mons, so making a good read here with the Stone Edge, but the Zapdos is faster and will just take out the Lando now. Here brings in the faster Mon. NGNL just sacks the Zapdos. I guess he thought it did its job, so
yeah.
Here he Terrafires the Ribombee to not take that much damage by the Hyper Voices. NGNL get also special attack drop is pretty huge as well, because even if NGNL has another move to hit the Ribombee, won't do that much. But NGNL just Wish Protects, gets the Sylveon back healthy. And the Sylveon can pretty much do this all day long.
Yeah, you're not really gaining any ground here.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did switch.
Yeah, this time NGNL also clicks Mystical Fire to like reduce the Ribombee. So it would have done less. Smart of Pate to like go into the Palafin and like get the Hero Foam going.
Yeah.
In comes Quagsire, switches out against the Rotom. He doesn't want to take any unnecessary damage. Sylveon can take that very well though. Now in comes the Palafin.
This is where Throat Chop is the play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Pate made the right play by clicking it.
Yeah.
Because, pause here and I'll explain why. Throat Chop is the freest clicking one. I'm not saying it's like that makes it sound like it's a very easy play to make, because you still have to make the prediction. But the reason why Throat Chop is also a good bring, and I think actually better than Send Headbutt, is purely because of the Sylveon. The Sylveon gives Throat Chop 2 uses, because you then, if they make a prediction and stay with Sylveon, well, then you basically block it from clicking Hyper Voice. It can't Hyper Voice anymore because you use Throat Chop. But also, if they switch into Quagsire, which Terra goes, then you basically hit it super effectively.
Yeah, exactly. The Throat Chop is like the Throat Chop. Well, it's not that good into Sylveon and Roaring Moon, obviously, but the rest it hits for neutral damage at least. So it's a fine play here.
I respectfully disagree, because often Sylveon there's quite often like people will run defensive Sylveon with one move, Hyper Voice. So if they're not prepared for Throat Chop, NGNL I think he's good enough to be prepared.
He did have.
And I think also
he did have Mystical Fire, so yeah.
But sometimes you can basically make a Sylveon unable to do any damage with Throat Chop. So I think Throat Chop is good for Sylveon as well. It's not going to super effectively hit it, but I think it's good for Sylveon.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to avoid like the hyper voice damage, but Mystical Fire would put chip on Palafin slowly.
Yeah.
Here he throw chips again makes sense. The Quack has to switch out. Scissor comes in. Scissor just roosts up, which is smart by Enginal because in the Mega form he does live the throw chop probably.
Yeah.
And Pate now decides to defog finally to get rid of the rock, which he did need to at this point.
I agree.
And
more than I was expecting, but that's fair.
And yeah, Pate
Sticky
can
web's
easily
good
get
move.
the sticky webs back up, yeah. But Pate has like an issue now with the Sylveon where he is unable to like kill the Sylveon easily. In comes the Quagsire. Pate again goes for the throw chop. Quagsire goes down.
Yeah. That's a good spot though. Pate's now in a good spot though because he can now start clicking a lot more freely on Palafin.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to basically worry about clicking damage. I hate this stay-in though.
Yep.
This stay-in is very bad.
Yep, Pate, instead of like switching out the Palafin and letting it come back in and click Jet Punch or a Wave Crash, he just sacks against the Scissor, which is probably the play that lost him the game. Because he did get a crit on the Scissor, which is nice for damage, but the Scissor Bullet Punch wouldn't have killed the Palafin at the range where it was, 23%, unless like an SD comes out. So Pate is now in a situation where he lost his main physical offensive threat, and now Sylveon is a huge issue for him. And this is the overheat here, which is unfortunate, but we can see that Sylveon has still 13 wishes up, so...
He wasn't Terra Blast, was he, on Bombi?
No, he was Energy Ball, Toxic, Sticky Webs, and Moonblast.
Honestly, I get why you run Energy Ball, but I also think maybe Terra Blast would have been better with Terrifier only because of the Mega Sylveon.
Yeah.
Like that might be hindsight 2020. That one though, that's a harsher like criticism if that makes sense.
Yeah. In comes the Latios now, and he clicks Psyshock, which almost kills the Sylveon. Enginal goes for the Wish because he's sure he lives a hit. Protects now to get the Sylveon HP back. Pate smartly does go for the agility here. And Sylveon cannot stay in, so in comes the Mega Scizor. Takes a Psyshock. Goes for the Bullet Punch because it won't be able to do anything otherwise. So Enginal's position looks good, but now in comes the Terrapagos, and the Latios won't be able to kill the Terrapagos in one hit. It does do a respectful 38 through Terra Shell, but here comes the Terra Starstorm. There was a big talk about it because this wasn't. I don't remember if this was what Terrapagos said this was, but Pate could have survived the Terra Starstorm by going for Mystical Fire first, breaking the Terra Shell, and then Dracoing, which would have gotten the Terrapagos either very low or killed it. Because we did see the Terrapagos' boots since it doesn't have a speed drop, so it doesn't have lefty, so it won't recover from that. Here comes the Rapid Spin, which is smart by Enginal getting the Roaring Moon ready.
That's a good play.
Yeah, Pate just kills the Terrapagos here with Girder, which is a good play. And now in comes a little problem with the Girder set. He is a bulk up set with Drain Punch, Knock Off, Fire Punch, and bulk up. He doesn't have a move to hit the Sylveon with. It loses his lefties, yeah, but as you can see, he got a Wish Up, now protects. So Pate has a big problem here. Girder does get Poison Jab. Pate just did not put the Poison Jab on. The best move Pate can click here is the Fire Punch. If he got a crit here, it's a different story. Fire Punches again. Gets a crit this time, so Sylveon goes down. But there's a full HP Roaring Moon. And Girder gets Mach Punch as well. Pate did not bring Mach Punch. And as you can see, Acrobatics, it's booster speed, so it will outspeed the Rumba Bombi as well and kill it as well. So This was not a bad play game from Pate. This was probably one of his better play games this season. The big mistake is, though, again, letting the Palafin go that easy and burning the Sylveon. You got yourself into horrible spots with those plays.
Yeah, I think Pate is this one of the ones where this is where Pate can learn from as well, where a few minor adjustments they can actually win this game. And this is against one of the better players in Reaper. Like he actually had I will say this, poor Pate had a fucking rough start. They had a guy who was 9-0 all season with a rain team that was sweeping everyone, and then GNL, who probably is arguably the best player in like Reaper. So Pate going 2-0. While they didn't play particularly great against Flower, it's understandable. It's a rough start, but it's an understandable start you can easily recover from and justify.
Yeah. But, and I lost is still a loss, so Pate now 0-2. Going into the next matchup against Rose. This matchup is interesting. Let's go to Rose's team first. Where do we have it? There we go. We have Chiyu, Quaquaval, Skarmory, Silvally, Venusaur Mega, Runerigus, Enamorous, King Gambit, Charjabug, and Persian. So, I don't know if this was the original team, but most of it is still like the same. At least. So, for Pate, obviously, what he has to consider is Quaquaval sweep, Enamorous Dam, King Gambit, and Chiyu, obviously, has to be considered in the prep. And then how does he break through some of the defensive Pokemon? So, again, we have another Choice Band Palafin. This time with
That's 3 weeks now.
Zen Headbutt, smart though, to hit the Mega Venusaur. Good bring.
But this is the problem with Pate's use of Palafin, in my opinion. He keeps bringing the same Palafin set every week. And Palafin's great. Band is great, but you need to mix it up some weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Here we have a Lando that is max HP, almost max speed, with a little bit of attack, a little bit of defense, a little bit of special defense. Smackdown to be able to get the Skarmory on the ground and hit it with Earthquakes. Smart bring. To be fair, Smackdown plus Earth Power is probably better because Skarmory can live in Earthquake.
I agree. Yeah, I actually prefer. Honestly, I'd actually kind of prefer it as well. If it actually no gravity, no gravity's risk. When you got a Rotom Heat, actually no, I don't like gravity. If you didn't have a Rotom Heat, I actually agree with gravity. But with Rotom Heat on this team, yeah, go Smackdown's probably the safer play to think of.
Yeah. Also, Rocks makes sense, and U-turn also makes sense. Not a bad Lando set. Finally, we have a Focus Sash for Bombi.
Yeah, Webs again.
Webs again. This time, over Stun Spore again over Toxic, and Psychic Noise over Energy Ball this time. Again, a very weird Rotom Heat stat spread. And basically the same thing again, just swapped out the Willow for Toxic this time. Again, an offensive Blastoise, which, to be fair, is not too bad into Rose's team. But if we scroll through the team right now, there's no Chi-Yu switch in.
Yeah, they don't really have one at all. I guess the idea is for Terra, Water, Rotom, Heat, but even then, that's not a switch in.
Yep.
What was Pate's team at this time? Did they actually have a switch in?
The best switch in is probably Blastoise.
Yeah, and even then, that's an iffy one. With no heat, because Iron Dew is not healing. Sorry, Life Dew is not healing.
Yeah. Technically, a Spadef Quillfish could have done a little bit, I guess, but yeah.
Spadef Quillfish struggles as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Big thing as well. We look through the team. There is no answer into Quaquaval, which is a bigger problem.
Yeah, I think Rotom Heat is the answer, but then you run Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah. I guess the answer as well is Quillfish, because it's a defensive Quillfish, but Pate only brought Gunk Shot, and Pate did not bring Haze.
I remember this now, because I was like, literally, why did you not bring Haze to this matchup if your answer is Quillfish Asui?
Yeah.
Why do you not bring Haze here?
Haze is very huge into Quaquaval, specifically, because Quaquaval, for one, Aqua Step exists, it boosts its speed, it gets Sword Sense, it gets Bulk Up, it has Moxie. So a Haze would be incredibly good for you. just to get rid of those sap boosts and stop Quaquaval from potentially sweeping you. Movesets wise, the Blastoise seems fine, and the Rotom Heat seems fine. Like the rest of the top half of the team is definitely better planned out than the bottom half of the team. But yeah, let's get into it. So, as we can see, Enamorous came, Quaquaval came, Skarmory, Mega Venusaur, Runerigus, and Silvally. To be fair, Pate can't really answer Silvally because this is a Terra Silvally. So even if you like get its typing right, it can still Terra out of that typing into another one. So, Runerigus is there, makes sense to like answer the Lando potentially. Enam obviously being there for the offensive side. Same with Quaquaval, Skarm, good defensive one as well. Can take hits from Palafin. Same with Venusaur.
Yeah.
So yeah, already a good lead for Pate. Gets rocks up. Here he gets Toxic, which is already kind of unfortunate, but does get the Smackdown correct, while Rose defogs. But Rose now can just switch out the Skarmory, which happened. Pate does go for the Earthquake instead of going for Rocks again. Because in my mind, it's pretty obvious this Skarmory is going to switch up because it's still going to take like 60 from the Earthquake. So just getting rocks up again is probably better than just Earthquaking into the Runerigus. But that's like, if the Skarm stayed in, like what is it really going to do? Yeah, it can maybe Brave Bird you take a little bit of damage plus Toxic. But yeah, the rocks are definitely more important right now. In comes the Blastoise against the Runerigus, but Rose makes a double into Skarmory. And we can see the Skarmory has some Spadef investment to live hits by Blastoise, and now Blastoise is also toxic, so Pate is definitely in a situation right now. In comes Quaquaval. Gets frozen, which is pretty lucky for Pate. Because the Quaquaval cannot do anything right now. Out comes the Sticky Web. Rose brings in the Skarmory again to probably defog them. Yes. Pate goes back into Blastoise. At that point, it's probably better to go Rotom Heat than Blastoise, personally. Yep. Just because you threaten the Skarmory more, and you can potentially like burn the Runerigus or Toxic it. So yeah, but he does just go Blastoise and clicks Aura Sphere this time, which is even weaker into Skarmory, unless they roost. Which why would they roost if they know like the previous what was it? Water Pulse at 48, yeah. So I don't know what you predicted with the Aura Sphere here, but it obviously didn't do enough into the Quaquaval. Rose probably switched into Quaquaval predicting a Scald or something, but yeah. Quaquaval's still frozen. Back comes into Ribombee. Skarmory comes back in. This time Pate makes a smart play and attacks the Skarmory. It's a special attack drop, which doesn't matter. And obviously won't be able to kill Skarmory, and now the Skarmory has HP back. Now it's back at full, so very unnecessary of staying in there.
Yeah. He didn't gain any benefit from staying in.
Yeah, no benefit at all from staying in there, so Skarmory is back at full, and it will now be able to defog away the webs again, so you basically gain nothing from those exchanges. Good predict here, the Silvally is now toxic. Is it a normal type Silvally, as we can see, so... Click Surf here, does some nice damage into Quillfish. They're probably predicting more of the Silvally being physical than special, but yeah. Gets a spike up, and Rose finally gets their rocks up. So Pate has 2 mons on a timer, and rocks are now up. So game is definitely getting more difficult. So the Sash is also basically broken unless he clicks defog, which he does. Smart. But now also the Rotom is toxic, so 3 timers now. Smart overheat though. Bad switch from Rose probably, because if this had a little more special attack investment, the Venusaur would be dead. Runerigus is probably the mon you can like let go the most probably here.
Yeah, it's quite expendable.
Yeah, back in comes
This
Quaquaval.
was this was a ballsy but smart play because Rose's win plan was to actually switch with Quaquaval. So that is a very good switch on their part.
Yeah, and since the Rotom was at -4 at that point, Rose was comfortable with just taking a hit. Aqua Steps is now faster than Ribombee, so can take out the Ribombee as well.
And
In
this
comes
is where
Quillset.
Pate loses the game because they don't have Haze.
Yeah. The Quaquaval is now at +2 speed and now starts bulking up. Pate Pain Splits here instead of going for the Gunk Shot to get a poison. In comes Venusaur. Venusaur here gets Gunk Shotted this time. In comes the Valley with water to damage the Quillfish even more.
Yeah. Yeah, and also you can't now Pain Split either because of that.
Yeah.
That is a very nice. I like that prediction. That's a good prediction.
Yeah, because Pate cannot switch into land on the surf, so Rose just going for the smart Thunderbolt here.
Yeah, like really, the only switches he has are both water types. Yeah, I actually like the Jet Punch there. I don't think you have much choice. This though gives I will say this is Rose definitely win the situation to get a free setup, either getting a +1 speed or go bulking up.
Yep, and now they are +1 speed and have a bulk up. And you can see the Blastoise does not do enough damage to threaten this Quaquaval. In comes the Quillfish, but Quaquaval just roosts and now is in a very, very good situation. Aqua Steps now, gets another speed boost. Pate just goes for the Pain Split. Smart, getting HP back on Quillfish. Now come the bulk ups. Pate going for the Gunk Shot, not getting a poison. Even a Toxic here would have been good.
Yeah, Toxic would have actually been more beneficial than what they brought.
Roost more often. Gunk Shot miss kind of rough, but won't do that much with the +2 defense. But a poison could come. A poison finally does come, but as we can see,
it's kind of too late.
It's kind of too late, yeah. This Quaquaval is faster than everything now, and probably one-shots everything now.
I really don't know what Spikes is achieving there. Just go for the crit. Like Spike is not achieving anything at this point. You've got two like pause there because it's even worse. Let me explain why it's even worse. Right, look at what Rose has got left. He's got a Quaquaval that's not going to switch up when it's out this much. He's got an Enamorus that's off the ground. He's got a Skarmory that's off the ground, and Hover Runerigus. Yeah, Runerigus. That's the only one you're affecting with Spikes.
Yep.
That Spikes was just so pointless. It didn't do anything for your play there.
Yeah.
Go for hacks. Don't just fix Spikes randomly.
Yeah, and as you can see, the Quaquaval just slaughters the rest of the team now.
Why did he get brick? I can't remember the reason he had Brick Break. I think there was a reason, but I can't remember what it was. Probably for like screens Rotom, I guess.
I guess so.
Still odd, but
yeah. Quillfish does take the Aqua Steps, but what's it really gonna do to the Quaquaval? It gets crit now, but it doesn't matter because the Quillfish has one Gunk Shot left, and after that it cannot hurt the Quaquaval.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest of the team is not going to be able to stand up against the Quaquaval. Aqua Step, Lando dies.
I will say this: I actually do agree with actually sacking. I do agree with sacking Lando there, just to try and get it in Jet Punch range, just with a crit and just pray.
Yeah, but
though I don't get why you don't click Jet Punch.
Yeah, didn't even click Jet Punch. In comes the Ribombee.
Go for your out.
Obviously,
your out is basic.
Dies.
Yeah. Your out is well, you're losing anyway because Skarmory probably actually walls Palafin, but your out is Jet Punch crit.
Yep. So yeah, the prep lost Pate the game hard here. Also, like not being a right Terra type, like you are Terra Water on Rotom, but you did put you got 3 months Toxic. You didn't make the right switches. This game was just not very well played from Pate. So yeah, it probably has to do with the prep as well, because if the prep was better, Pate probably could have played this game better as well. Yeah, sad to see though, because Pate is now 0-3. Going into the next matchup against Savage Raccoon. We again have a
band
choice
again.
band, Palafin. Again, a Soldu Latios. This time with flip turn, actually.
Pivoting.
Wow, it finally has pivoting. Then we have a Scarf Adamant Lando against Savage, which is probably pretty good. It does outspeed the low punny and everything.
Yeah.
Quick glance at Savage's team as well.
This was before Savage completely turned their team into just only fighting.
It won't.
I remember this game.
I don't remember Savage's original team completely, so yeah, Savage pretty much changed the team into everything is a fighting type, except
I will say
Incineroar and his 2 Terra captains.
I will say this. I mean, Incineroar can be because it's a wrestler. It can be basically a fake fighting type. The key thing to note in the prep here is how does he handle Terra Iron Thorns?
Yeah. There is
You'll see why in a minute.
There is a defensive rotom with Terra Rock to hit to be able to take hits from the Iron Thorns, so not a bad bring. But if you're planning to,
I don't actually.
If you're planning
I don't
to beat
agree
the
with
Iron
that.
Thorns, bring Will-O-Wisp.
I don't agree with Terra Rock. Terra Rock does nothing for Iron Thorns because Rock doesn't resist Rock.
Yeah.
So you're better off with Terra Steel because you're ground immune. Actually, and is that what types resist Rock? It's Steel, ground. Terra ground actually is kind of a shout. You actually kind of because you resist Rock, you're immune to electric, and then you're also floating, so you can't get hit by EQ because that's usually Bug's also a thing, but Bug isn't super effective. So
yeah, but ground also resists
honestly,
Bug.
Terra ground.
So Terra ground would have probably been better here.
Oh yeah, Terra ground's. Oh, so that's might be a hindsight thing. That was just me literally realizing it as I spoke because Terra ground feels so weird with Levitate, but.
This Scissor set is also very interesting. It has HP, some defense, a rocky helmet, and a lot of SPDEF. You're trying to make the Scissor do too much this game.
Yeah. You're overloading its rolls.
Yeah. Quillfish again, more SPDEF sided this time, but again, no haze against a team that has setup bonds.
I will say this. I think Pate, the most misused one on their team so far. I will say Palafin is probably second because you just bring the same Palafin set every week. And I'm not saying it's a bad set, but mix up your Palafins. Otherwise, everyone's just going to be able to. If everyone knows you're bringing band every week, it's a lot easier to beat. But Quillfish, the amount of times there's been a set, if you tweak the set, he does so much better.
Yeah.
No haze in these 2 matchups is actually cost him hard.
Also, another thing to mention, he doesn't have a Boomburst switch in from Terra Northern.
Yeah, Pate has not considered that.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing I'd forget as well. Does he have a ghost type at this point?
He had one, I think, original. I don't remember what his original team looked like, so I cannot comment on it completely.
I think he made trades by this point, to be fair, because I don't think the Scissor was on the original team.
The Scissor was on the original team. Scissor is not on the team.
Oh, okay. Let me find the PR slides a minute.
I think I have it somewhere. Give me
See if you find it first.
Where do we have it? Patepic team. There we have it. It won't show up on the screen now. No, he actually did not have a ghost type.
What was his? Honestly, this is where Terra Steel might have been the play then, even if Terra Ground's better for Rotom. Because Terra Rock, to be fair, Terra Rock does resist the Boom Burst. I still think Terra Steel's better because it doesn't resist the rock, but yeah.
But yeah, you don't have enough special defense to take a lot of Boom Bursts here.
Let me just look at their team a minute. Let me get to their slide. Because they were like something decent. We rated them quite decently.
They have shown every mon they brought, so it's Girder, Ribombi, D6, and one more mon. Which was
they had no normal switch-ins other than Scissor.
Yeah.
Scissor was their Boom Burst switch-in. Yeah, okay. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that if Raccoon didn't, I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring Terra normal Boom Burst here.
Yeah, so it's D6 Blastoise Girder and Ribombi.
Honestly, this match kind of feels made for basically sweeping with Megalopony as well.
Yeah. Also to note, while the scissor does resist the boom burst, there is something called flamethrower Noivern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, they really probably needed to bring Terra Steel Rotom Heat in this matchup.
Yeah.
Ground is better for the Iron Thorns purely, but you probably need doing dual roles here.
Yeah. On to the match. We can see both Noivern and Iron Thorns came. There's also a Gengar, a Feeny, a Mega Lopunny, and an Incineroar. So, one thing to note, Pate will also have a little bit of, based on what he brought, he will also have a little bit of a problem of breaking Feeny.
Yeah, because not much really breaks Feeny here. So it's Terrafly Noivern, so he probably didn't even, because I don't think he's even want the Boom Burst on that set, to be honest.
Yeah. By the way, we have, again, a Quillfish lead.
So, low-key, when I see the booster go off, by the way, people don't know, Porter, if you don't know, if you bring a booster on in, let's say on Sticky Web or an Intimidate, it could then trigger you to get a different boost. Pate might not have realised that interaction and not realised this was a setup set. But in my opinion, what Pate should have done is click Taunt turn 1. That's what Pate should have done. Taunt turn 1. Stop this going for basically setup, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, like, having a haze would be good.
Haze would have been good.
Yeah. But Pate has led Quillfish free in 3 games. Every game, I think, so far. So it was pretty obvious for Savage, probably, that, again, the Quillfish lead is coming.
Honestly, I don't even hate the Quillfish lead here. This time I think it works. Okay, good. This taunt is good. This taunt is good. This is good. And Lando switch, I am cool with. Nice prediction. Yeah,
But then you don't switch out to
rough.
Lando.
That's where it's rough. Like, you probably should scout for Ice Punch.
You could have also just switched around between Lando and Quillfish because it's taunted. It's not going to set up more.
Yeah. I think at this point, Pate panicked.
Yeah, definitely. Stone Edge is kind of unfortunate, but it's Stone Edge. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah, back in comes the Sizzler. Dies this time.
Yeah. So you've now lost your only, like...
Yeah, in comes the Palafin, but Terra Grass comes out. And
this
Charge.
Is... What was Pate's set again? What was it? Was it Flip Turn?
It is Wave Crash, Jab Punch, Ice Punch, Close Combat.
Honestly, I actually think the best play there is okay because he doesn't actually know Flip Turn's bad because they outspeed at +2.
They didn't have.
I think the best play. Oh yeah, I know. I mean, even if they had Flip Turn, that was more what I meant in my head. Honestly, I think the play is to go. Honestly, it's a place to scout because you've seen 3 of its moves. Scout if it has Wild Charge by going to Quillfish.
Switch into something else. But now, Stone Edge on the Rotom. Ice Punch at the Rotom's dead. Latios comes in, gets Ice Punched, lives.
Yeah.
And finally, down goes the Iron Thorns. But Palafin is at 8%, Latios at 30%, and then there's Quillfish at 100, but the Quillfish is not winning you the game.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Quillfish also gets knockoff now, so it's even worse. Taunts here.
Yeah. I don't love the taunt only because and this is probably me being a bit like harsh. A lot of Incineroars in like draft basically run AV. No, actually, to be fair, it didn't take any spikes damage. If it did take spikes damage, then it was boots. So yeah, at this point, Tapu Fini just wins.
Yeah, because this Palafin won't kill it. Does a lot of damage, but
Not even with that.
And yeah, again, mistakes from Pate. Even if you had the prep mistake, like the mistake of not immediately taunting the Iron Thorns or not having haste, You could have tried switching around land on Quillfish more when it was taunted to reduce the attack stat a lot more and make it less threatening to your team.
Mm.
But yeah, at this point, Pate is 0-4, so it's not looking too good. Which brings us into the next matchup, Cartel, and we see it. There's finally not a choice band. This is, by the way, the point where Pate changed up their team into the current version, which I'm going to pull up real quick. Where do we have it? There.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So, it's Palafin, Garchomp Mega, Ogerpon Cornerstone, Zoroark Hisui, Empoleon, and Braviary Hisui are the new adds. Terra are still on Ribombee and Rotom Heat, but like some mons were swapped in. Swapped out Scizor for Empoleon, got a actual normal type and ghost type switch in Zoroark Hisui. Braviary Hisui, he did pick up but never brought. It was basically just to be another special threat. And yeah, Pate was not good at using land though, so we gave him. So we talked about it, and we were like, okay, just use Garchomp as like a rock setter or spike setter. Like, get your hazards up if it may be. It's also offensively threatening, and probably easier to use than Lando for him. But yeah, that is Pate's current team, and he did face Cartel, who has this team. It's Terra Metagross, Ogerpon, Moltres, regular Garchomp, Dragalge, Gardevoir Mega, Aerodactyl Terra, Umbreon, Staraptor, and Illumise.
The second prediction. Well, Pate bring. Oh wow. Okay, proud of you, Pate. You brought a non-banded Palafin. I'm actually proud of you.
Bulk up as well. Acrobatics for when the Rindo gets eaten up. Smart.
What was the grass types on the team again? It was
Ogerpon.
Okay, honestly that's a quite a cool set. I like that idea because honestly, like it baits in the Ogerpon, and that's actually some good work from Pate.
Yeah.
I don't know about this Mega Chomp set. So where I thought Mega Chomp, the best way to work is either set hazards or you just basically set up break with it and you just catch someone off guard and you just break through a team or you sweep an end game. Scale Shot is kind of busted on it.
Yeah.
Risky, but busted. I prefer Scale Shot is always better than Dragon Claw in my opinion.
Yeah, almost always, unless you need specific roles, like guaranteed specific roles. But yeah, Rock Tomb is also an interesting bring over Stone Edge or Rock Tomb. I guess he had his reasons for it. He has the
Rock Tomb I don't hate in the right spot. If you've got a specific plan for it, I actually like it. But it's going to depend what he's actually bought it for.
Yeah, then here's the Cornerstone Ogerpon, which will say one thing. Unless you need specific roles with you get specific roles with Woodhammer, Horned Leech is always better on Cornerstone, specifically to get the sturdy back up.
Great.
Spikes is good. U-turn is good. We have a choice spec
I have got a free move.
Zoroark Hisui with Hyper Voice, Icy Wind, Sludge Bomb, and Trick.
Yeah.
Kind of a misplay of not bringing a Shadow Ball. Because they're
Yeah.
Because if we look back, they do have Umbreon, but you're never staying in an Umbreon anyways. Here. They do have Umbreon, which with Zoroark you're never staying in on Umbreon anyways. At least the Hisui version. Yeah. And aside from that, the only Ghost type switch in is Staraptor. And Staraptor cannot afford to switch into you.
I don't think Cartel's bringing Pursuit Umbreon. I mean, maybe. It's not impossible, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's likely. I think Shadow Ball is probably worth a bring.
Yeah. I don't get this... I get the Icy Wind to hit Garchomp, obviously, and reduce speed sometime. The Sludge Bomb is interesting. I guess you want it for the Ogerpon, because otherwise I don't see how it makes sense.
Hmm.
And then Sugar Berry Empoleon, Smart, Ice Beam, Flash Cannon, Toxic Stealth Rock, solid set. This does hard lose to Metagross though, because no Scald or Flip Turn. And then we have a Rotom
Yeah.
lead set. Again, Pate's standard set this time. Paint split over defog, so some variation in Rotom set, and he's Terra Steel on it. So yeah, interesting.
I don't hate this one. Like,
let's see how Pate performs. So we do see a lot of mons brought here. A lot of expected mons as well. The Aerodactyl is good. It hits hard into Pate's team, and it's faster than everything. Garchomp makes sense. Terra Metagross also makes sense. Ogerpon makes sense. Yeah, all of these mons make sense for Cartel to bring.
Yeah. I'm looking at the team here in front of him. This is why I'm even more in favor of the scale shot on a Mega Chomp, because you can just get some massive damage off by outspeeding stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. Already unfortunate lead for Pate, unless this was his order, but we can see it was not. In comes the Rotom, and we know this Rotom doesn't have a defog this time. Pate actually doesn't have defog on anything, so no removal. So these hazards are staying up.
No removal with Cornerstone is a bit iffy if you're not going to stay in with Cornerstone, no matter what the lead is. Like low key, if Cornerstone, I actually prefer Cornerstone lead is if you bought it basically 4 attacks, maybe even 3 attacks. Actually, you bought it Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, maybe actually Won't is fun if you're just doing a lead suicide set and play rough, and then spikes. I think that works better as a lead than what he used it as a lead for here.
Yeah. Another thing to mention, specifically, if you are facing a mon like Garchomp who can just hazard stack your ass, you always need to bring either boots on a lot of mons, or you bring removal.
Especially with mons that.
Yeah, the
Toxic's not really that useful.
Nice right now on the Garchomp, but in the long run, these hazards will hurt you more than this Toxic hurts the Garchomp. Yeah, here they reveal they're not Garchomp. In comes Empoleon as Cartel makes a double into Aerodactyl, Terra Ground, Earthquake, which the Empoleon does survive because of the Shuka, and the Ice Beam does not kill though. Pate finally getting up his own rocks, but Empoleon at this point is probably a sag, yeah. Palafin comes in, takes so much damage from hazards, has to switch out again so it will take this hazard damage again. In comes the actual Chomp. And yeah, this Ogerpon obviously is offensive. You're not outspeeding it and you're not taking the hit again. The Palafin is also slower. So the Rindo is not helping you at that point because the hazard did too much.
Yeah.
And
this
is Cornerstone. This is not Cornerstone. Obviously, it is Zoroark. So yeah, Sludge Bomb here. Good play. Get some damage out of Moltres. Moltres flamethrower now though, so your Ogerpon is also now burned, which is unlucky. But
yeah, that's just rough.
Yeah, in comes the Metagross anyways,
really
which you don't have a move to hit this Metagross hard with.
Yeah, because even Woodhammer without a burn is doing nothing.
Yeah.
If anything, you're probably better off just clicking Ivy Cudgel there.
Yeah, in comes the Rotom, gets knocked off, so it's also going to take the at least the rocks now when it comes in. Cartel has to switch out here, not wanting to sack the Metagross. Aerodactyl goes down. But back in comes
if Pate, by the way, Jakota, if Pate actually refilled defog right now, I think I'd actually kill him for that.
Yeah. Yeah, here comes the Zoroark, dies.
Yeah.
Here comes the
Ogerpon dies.
And here comes the Rotom. Survives, but gets
basically
just Ivy Cudgel in the face. So yeah, this game, again, it's not necessarily the play. It's you just not bringing defog. Because you not bringing defog got you into a situation where you could barely play the game at all because your monster constantly took so much damage. It's just not. It's just like not good. Like, why would you not? Like, Garchomp gets all of these hazards. Even Ogerpon gets spikes. Metagross gets rocks. Arrow gets rocks. There's so much hazards on Cartel's team. Why are you not bringing removal? especially if you only have boots on one mon. Like at that point, it's just throwing. This isn't even meant to sound mean, but like it seems like most of the time it's not necessarily the prep that is Pate's the play that is Pate's issue. It's the prep. Pate just doesn't prep well enough to face certain threats. Of course, in the Savage game, it comes more down to the play because not taunting, not intimidate, switching and stuff. But like
even there, like Hayes helps. Hayes actually helps that matchup.
yeah, exactly, because suddenly the Iron Thorns is again slow as shit. So yeah, it seems like Pate just has a huge problem with preparation of matches. We're getting to the next matchup, which is against Shazam. No Bandit Palafin, this time they are Lumberry, with Taunt, Bulk Up, Draining Kiss, and Jet Punch. I don't know what...
Draining Kiss is wild.
Especially a Draining Kiss without special attack investment. So we're gonna see now why they brought the Draining Kiss.
Yeah. It honestly, I low-key like it if it's something like Ushfu Single Strike.
It's a Como.
Como. Okay. There's some vision there.
The vision is there, but
I think you're overcooking.
It might be a little overcooking because Como is 4 times sweep. Como is still bulky, so are you sure this is killing straight out of the gate without any investment? And what if it is Roselli Berry? At that point, then your Palafin is just a sack, basically.
Honestly, do you know what would be better? Ice Punch. Because it hits a lot of their team.
Yeah, it would have been better, yeah. But yeah,
I respect him, though, for having... I will say, I respect him, though, for, like, at least varying the sets. Because that was my criticism of him. He didn't do variety of the sets. So fair play. He is trying different stuff. I do think he's overcooking here. But at least he's putting effort into making different sets.
Yeah. We do see
actually,
Shazam's team here. Spectre, Como, Arcanine, Hisui with Terra, Destroy with Terra, Steelix, Mega Vapor, Life, Pheasant Deputy, and Mandibus.
I just had a thought. Maybe it was some weird set for weird idea for Vaporeon? No, I don't think that makes... No, I don't think that works either.
That doesn't make sense.
Mandibus, maybe. Yeah, Mandibus is probably the only other thing I think it might be for.
Yeah.
But even though I don't like Draining Kiss as well if it's for Mandibus, because... Yeah, I just don't like Draining Kiss at all here. Just go Drain Punch. Just go Drain Punch, actually, if anything.
Or Ice Punch.
Yeah, Ice Punch was better. I like Drain Punch only because it then lets you beat the Vaporeon 1v1.
Yeah. Unless you get burned, obviously. But you have the Lumber for that, but then if you get burned again, that's where the issue starts. Okay, we have a Cornerstone Ogerpon with Power Whip, Play Rough, Ivy Cudgel Spikes. Very offensive set, makes sense into what Shazam's team is. Would have probably preferred a U-turn over the Spikes.
Yeah. I don't like Spikes if it's a lead set. If it's a lead set, I'm liking it. I will say this, I prefer Power Whip over Wood Hammer as well.
Yeah. Then we have Zoroark Hisui Specs set again, this time with 4 attacks, Bitter Malice instead of Shadow Ball, so interesting choice. Generally, Shadow Ball is better, but there is technically a bulletproof Como, so Bitter Malice is actually the good bring here. Actually a smart one from Pate this time.
Yeah.
Psychic also a good bring, Flamethrower, Hyper Voice, all makes sense. Rotom Heat, his favorite standard set of Rotom Overheat, Volt Switch, Willow, Defog.
Yeah. He doesn't really do much variety of Rotom Heat, but again, I also say Rotom Heat, if you're not going to do much variety of it, I don't hate it as much. I think Rotom Heat can do more than what you do here, but I don't hate it, especially with what Pate's got as a team.
Then Empoleon set with Scald, Ice Beam, Stealth Rocks, and Roost. Again, no momentum. So, I feel like Pate is not using the amount of momentum his team has, because this could get momentum, this could get momentum, this could get momentum, this has momentum, this could get momentum. Technically Ribombee also, but it makes sense why Ribombee doesn't have it, because it's a Sash Quiver Dance set here.
I kind of don't mind. I don't mind no flip turn on Empoleon, but I definitely agree with you on you. Actually, the more looking at it, I think U-turn on either Zoroark or Ogerpon is definitely needed. Maybe both, arguably.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad play.
I like the Rabombi set because he's brought so far. Pate has only brought the same basically set
Yeah.
with Rabombi with sticky webs, and I also kind of love this because you can do it as a Sorak fake on lead as well. Or if they think you're just going to set out webs, you can just quiver dance turn one. I actually kind of like it as a breaker early.
Yeah. So, in general, the prep is not bad. The Palafin set is the one that's very confusing, and of course, you could run more momentum on your team, but I get why you don't. You need some moves sometimes. But yeah.
The Palafin set kind of feels like a penis set gone wrong.
Yeah. There we go though. It's Pate versus Shazam.
Oh, 1 second. After this, we might have to pause for a little bit. We might need to do a battle.
I mean, I can keep talking. You can play your game and talk a little bit if you want to.
I'll try my best.
Yeah.
I've got this on my phone, so to be fair.
Also, this first turn, like, Empoleon's not very threatened here by this Decidueye, so getting rocks up makes sense. And for some reason, Shazam decides to defog into a competitive mon.
Yeah, that was a very weird play. I also will say this as well. I definitely am now pro basically having U-turn on the Ogre now. I know it's not a lead set.
Yeah.
I don't. Empoleon's kind of a weird lead, I think, as well, based on the team they brought.
But
Good
hey,
damage. I actually kind of prefer Scold, but that's me being wild.
yeah.
That's fine. Oh, that's just okay. Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
Zorak.
Down
Okay.
goes the Zoroark. In comes the Rotom again the Arcanine. They swap around here a little bit. Smart move from Shazam getting in the Landorus against the Rotom. Taking a lot of damage from this overheat though. In comes the
I feel like
Como
you could have.
as Ogerpon comes in.
All right, I like the switch to Ogre because
Yeah.
you then look. Yeah, that's a very good switch. I like that one.
Yeah. Shazam probably could have just went to Pheasantipity before, because the Pheasantipity is not taking a lot from the player. Most it's taking is from the Ivy Cudgel, of course, but why would Pate click Ivy Cudgel into Como?
Honestly, at this point, I think, in my opinion, that Pate might have been better just switching Ogre out and just going straight into Empoleon because if they're going for beat, I think again this is maybe me in hindsight 2020. If they're going for beat up, you don't really care as an Empoleon because you're not going to get toxic.
Yeah. They do. Pate does click Ivy Cudgel here, did a lot to the Pheasantipity, and obviously in the turn after killed this Joy. In comes the Spectre, which obviously is a very dangerous mon for Pate. Because the Zoroark is down, and it has a boost now, so it does look kind of bad for Pate. Rabombi comes in, goes to the Sash, and Pate Quiver dances. Shazam switches out here. Moonblast does a lot to Harkenine, but as we can see, it's Terra Normal E-Speed, so Rabombi will go down now. So the Spectre is still looking very dangerous into Pate. In comes Palafin, which is already in his hero form, and gets a bulk up. And at that point, it looks very over for Shazam, because this Palafin kind of just kills everything that's left.
Yeah.
Yep. Hyper Beam, by the way.
Hyper Beam is wild. That is some sick tech.
Yeah.
Probably saved him from getting swept at that point.
Yeah. If they had a little bit of chip on the Palafin before as well, they could have had the Spectre sack for next turn. In comes Harkenine, E-Speeds. But we know this Ogerpon is living an E-Speed.
Yeah. This is where actually, by the way, this is where, in my opinion, I think Payne made a slight mistake. And I this is again being a bit critical and a bit harsh. But in my opinion, I think this is why I think you should have switched into Napoleon on the beat up because you saved the sturdy. Because Payne might have lost to a crit there if I'm getting my maths right.
Yep, crit would have lost. It probably would have had to be a double crit, though, because the Arcanine is already at 30%, and I think the Rotom can do 30% with an overheat.
Yeah, but that has been me being very nitpicky. I ain't gonna lie, but also at the same time, I think it's worth just considering those things as well because I always try and consider what loses me the game in certain spots.
Yeah. And Pate
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Pate played this game pretty well though.
Yeah.
Of course, I will have to say though, Shazam did misplay early game very hard, so it did make the game easier for Pate. But still, good play from Pate here. Prep was also good enough to win this game. One thing I would mark about this match is not sacking Zorark as early as you did, because the Zorark you didn't need for this. Like, if you didn't get the Paladin bulk up, the Spectre would have just ran through the rest of your team. So you do have to be careful around that. But yeah, good game.
I think it was.
Next up, we're getting into the Zac matchup. Back is the Choice Band Palafin. Again, no flip turn. They have Sword Stance, Ogre Punk, Cornerstone. Again, no U-turn. They do have a physical Zora Kisui with U-turn here, so good set. Again, no flip
sorry.
turn.
Oh,
again, no
go
flip
back up
turn.
again. Sorry, go back up. Oh yeah, they got the bandit. This I think it's trying to bring up bandit. The Sora Kasui set was kind of wild. If I remember correctly, oh no, this is the wrong one. This is that game. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll let you carry on in it because I'm meant to be battling as well.
Yeah, we have the Empoleon set, which is just the same set from last week, basically, with EVs tweaked. Again, no flip turn on it, so again, no momentum coming from this Empoleon. Again, a Quiver Dance set from Rimbombi, but also has Sticky Whip, so has two uses, so it's not just forced into one roll here. And Rotom set without Defog, but with Pain Split and Willow this time. Now let's look at Zac's team. Where do we have it? Back there. There we go. It's a Urshifu single strike. It's a Slowking Galar, a Rillaboom, a Primarina, a Cyclozar, Tornado's Eye with Terra, Gligar, Camerupt Mega, Circuitry, and Sandslash Alola with Terra.
Okay, that's quite cool.
Immediately looking into Pate's prep. There is some issue because what's switching into the Urshifu? It's going to be the Rotom with Terra Fairy that has 4 defense investment.
Yeah, that's where the Pate's made a mistake in the prep. The Terra Fairy's right, but the issue is it's not fully defensive. I don't think Pate had any other answers though, really, did they? Because Urshifu was kind of like stomping on their team, if I remember correctly from prep.
Yeah, his fairy type is Ribombi, which obviously gets even like resisted hits it gets a lot of damage from those. So yeah, Empoleon dies, Zoroark dies, Cornerstone can take a hit and then play rough back if the sturdies play correctly.
Hello, that's unfair.
Palafin does have the priority, so if the Urshifu is chipped, they could Jet Punch. But yeah, definitely one issue already is the Urshifu into Pate's team. A second thing to mention, Pate also has a problem with switching into the Terra Alola and Sandslash here. Because if it has coverage with Rotom Heat, it will kind of go in against Pate as well.
Put a punch, okay.
Yeah. Jakoto, by the way, joined. Hello, Jakoto.
Hey, Jakoto. Sorry, I was like going through my team here a minute. Like I'm just in the middle of a battle as we speak. Do I need to keep this on? Yeah. What's my answer to this if I switch out? Not a lot. Well, probably you actually. Sorry. Jaco, do you want to take over talking for me and go with Ben because I'm just in the middle of a battle as we speak?
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah.
Thank you, dude. Much appreciated.
Pate has just brought very like some sets that he already brought one. So the most creative one is definitely Zorak set here, but not having a Shifu switch him because you are not bringing defensive Rotom Heat is definitely an issue.
He didn't bring it fully defensive?
No, he brought 4 defense investment. Not even defensive nature. It's modest.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And as we can see, here is the prep, and obviously Alolan Sandslash is there, Urshifu is there. They do have Empoleon kind of as a Rillaboom check, but Rillaboom also gets superpower and high horsepower, I think, so also not that good of a switch in. So yeah, Pate's definitely gonna have some issues here, based on his prep.
Does it make contact? It does make contact, so I think we have to go to you.
They lead Ribombi, and instead of Quiver Dancing turn 1,
That's prediction.
They try to go for a Sticky Web, which immediately gets Rapid Spin away.
NU Classic or RU Classic is, in these leads, you always click Moonblast to figure out the item. because
Yeah.
he usually won't revenge you. But
Yeah, and the Rabombi is already very low. Empoleon loses its item. The Cyclozar just U-turns out, gets HP back, so already some negative turns for Pate. Primarina takes any hit this Empoleon dishes out, and just energy balls here. Rabombi's down now, which in that case is a decent sec for Pate. In comes the Cornerstone Ogerpon. He just sword dances straight up. Here comes the Grassy Glide. Rillaboom, obviously outspeeding with the Grass Lake, but goes down.
Fuck's sake.
But in comes the Cyclozar, which is faster. Iron Heads. Crits almost kills the Ogerpon, but Ogerpon does get the kill back onto Cyclozar. So, played well around the Ogerpon, but now it finally goes down after a Sucker Punch. And in comes Empoleon. Paid here probably thinks the Urshifu is Scarf or Banned.
yeah, that's what I remember him saying.
Because the Urshifu switches out after Sucker Punch, so he probably expects, okay, Scarf or Banned. And as we see, this is not Empoleon, this is the Zoroark by the Body Slam damage. And down goes Primarina, so also using the Zoroark well. In comes the Urshifu again, and predicts the Sucker, a good switch into Rotom. Terra Fairies here and Willows, not a bad play if the Urshifu stayed in, but why would it stay in against Fairies? So a Volt Switch would have been kind of nice. But yeah, not a bad play on the Will-O-Wisp. Empoleon against Parrot.
Maka here is a fucking god of nuts, man. I'm not gonna lie.
But as we see, this is
What
not
the fuck?
this is not Empoleon. This is again Zoroark, and it kills the Slowking now. So the Sand Slash won't be able to get a Slush Rush boost. Sand Slash does take out Zoroark now because it's Parrot. And in comes Rotom. Here, Paid Willows. This is technically dangerous. Because one, your Rotom is a Fairy type, and this Sand Slash is a Ice Steel type normally, so. While it's not faster than you, it could have a Lumberry, for example. You don't know its item yet, so technically you are taking a huge risk here. It doesn't have Lumberry and gets just Sword Stances, and you just overheat here.
U-turn. Volt Switch.
Yeah. So now your
Switch
your
Empoleon.
Rotom, it doesn't have enough defense investment to take some Urshifu hits now, and it doesn't have Terra Blast as well.
You don't need Empoleon anymore at that point.
Yeah.
So you want to keep Rotom healthy, so you should probably Volt Switch every single time into Empoleon.
Yeah. Here is the here comes the end game mistake. Like the Sand Slash goes down as Paid brings in a Palafin. Paid thinks here, okay, this is Scarf or Band, but you don't know that yet technically. So wouldn't it be better to just go for a move here, like if obviously you don't have Flip Turn, but like a Wave Crash at least to like scout out if it is or not. Because as you can see now, this Urshifu has a Sword Stance up, and it's faster than the Rotom, kills the Rotom, and the Palafin won't be able to one-shot this Urshifu. Because here comes the Wicked Blow, Palafin dies, and obviously Empoleon is not taking a move.
Why didn't he click Wave Crash? Oh, I guess he's scared of Sucker.
Scared of Sucker,
It's
yeah.
a 50-50.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 in that spot. Like, I should be back momentarily. I've just finished my little cup game, which I won.
Yeah. Prep wasn't necessarily bad. Of course, you would like having defense investment on the Rotom would have saved you from this potentially, because for one, you wouldn't have taken as much from the Icicle Spear from the alone Sand Slash. And second of all, maybe would have survived the Wicked Blow. So yeah, also not having Terra Blast, obviously, because while you can click Willow, you still don't know the item. If this is Lumberry, again, your roll goes into nothing, it attacks you, you have a problem. So yeah, a little bit of prep mistake, and obviously just it could have made some plays differently, and also like hard focusing on this Urshifu. Oh yeah, it's Scarf or Band because it switched out after Suckering. That's not what you should have done. Like, as long as you don't directly know the item, never assume it.
Yeah. I think you can assume if you're in a desperate situation, if that makes sense. If you are in a position where you lose the game, I knew they were going to be both. If you're in a position where you're going to lose a game, you can then make that kind of assumption and guess because it might help save you the game. But don't assume before you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my read right as well in my little cut matchup. They were both. I knew it was going to be both.
So now
Hey,
Pate is 1-6. He goes into a matchup with Grimmetz. And this is Pate's prep. We have again banned a Palafin. So Pate has
they brought that to 6 out of 8.
6 out of 8 times Pate has brought banned a Palafin. Again, a Sword Stance Ogrepon Cornerstone, no U-turn again, but Trailblaze, so that's nice. Zora Kasui with Scar and Curse. Interesting tech with the Curse, but could work out. Basically the same Rotom Heat set as always, this time with Pain Split and Thunder Wave, instead of Defog and Toxic. Again, the same Empoleon set, some EVs tweaked, and this time Shukaberry. And
I think I'll go on, finish the last one, and then I'll say what I say.
Yeah, and Quillfish this time with a second move outside of Gunshot. Again, no Haze was brought, but not necessarily needed. Taunt and Spikes, so not that bad of a Quillfish set.
I've been here for 2 weeks of prep, and I see that Pate's always trying to do some guru stuff with the Rotom. If you don't just like max out whatever it's meant to check, like on defense, whatever defense it's supposed to check, and call it a day. Yeah.
Pate is
I think
trying.
there's sometimes where you can bring. I think there's sometimes
you
where
just don't have to be faster.
I think sometimes there is. I think sometimes you could do creative sets with Rotom Heat, but I think generally if you're bringing it defensive, you just bring unless you're hitting specific things on both sides, just max it out like a lot of the time. I think there might be a tiny bit of screen creeping if it doesn't interfere too much, but otherwise, I think Pate is cooking too much with the Rotom set sometimes.
A spread like this is only worth it if you're running like Scarf Trick.
The thing is, Pate always runs like six moves on the same 6 moves on the Rotom Heat, so he's not.
Yeah.
These EV spreads don't even do him a lot of justice oftentimes. I feel like Pate is overthinking a little bit in prep with this Rotom especially.
Definitely.
But let's look at Grimmetz team real quick. There we go. Grim has Dragapult Mew, Lando T, Darkrai, Terravicable, Blastoise Mega, Registeel, Honchkrow, Muck. And as you can see, yes, Grim did pick up the Lando T and Blastoise when Pate dropped them.
Drops Lando T.
Yeah.
It's just will forever be crazy to me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Grim's team is kind of crazy, honestly. So Pate will have a lot of work to do. And one thing to note as well, Pate will have some like defensive issues because of his Rotom set, because what's switching in really into a physical Dragapult? Like, yes, the Empoleon can take a Dragon Darts, but inside of that, what is taking those Dragon Darts? The Quillfish isn't defensive, it'll set up. The Rotom Heat set is one big weird thing. So yeah, definitely some issues in the prep again. Let's see if Pate can make this prep work.
I mean, Quillfish should cover it.
I mean, it only has the EV light on, no defensive investment, so it might still get 2-hit KO'd after a Dragon Dance.
I mean, he has Intimidate too, so...
Yeah, true.
If he manages it right, it should be fine.
Yeah, although we do see, there's no Honchkrow switching.
Oh.
And this is a Terra Honchkrow as well.
Getting ran through by Honchkrows.
Yeah, straight in rocks.
Nice rocks.
Grim here going for the Seismic Toss. Nice damage on the Rotom. In comes Mew. Takes the Thunder Wave. Which, unless this is an offensive Mew, it doesn't really matter. Unless like some Paras come.
Interesting.
Which, one Para comes, now he gets taunted, so he can't even soft boil. Pate gets up a spike,
Okay.
gets parried again,
Solid start.
gets
Can't even be
crunched,
mad.
and gets parried again.
Defense top player, holy Hey, you've been blessed by the lords.
Yeah.
What the like the most amazing 7th start turn. What the hell?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Right. Sorry
You
about
know
that,
he's
chat.
freaking Finn. You
Also
know
gets
he's
the
Sorry
gang
about
shot
that.
poison.
Sorry about chat. Chat. I'm fully back now. I can actually pay attention.
Gets the gang shot poison
didn't
as well
quit.
on Blastoise.
Oh, I think I kind of remember this game. Oh, why didn't he just gunk
Yeah, I
again?
remember. So.
Oh my god, he threw! I remember this! Man, bro, he should have just gunked again. You can't be scared of missing. You have to like kill it so you can keep your hazards up.
Yeah.
All that progress for nothing.
There's the Lando with a rock polish, but it's too scared to hit the Rotom Heat. Which, considering Pate's weird EV split, if this has Rock Slide, it could probably kill the Rotom Heat right now.
Yeah. Also, to be fair,
Stone
logically as well, if they're not running Will-O-Wisp, I don't know about the switch out as you sat there. That was a bit odd. So I don't think that ever. I mean, some people do run Thunderwave Will-O-Wisp, but I don't think Pate's doing that.
Yeah. Smackdown's here, which doesn't
The
do
most
anything.
overrated move of all time.
I don't. Okay, I stand by as a general thing. I think Gravity is usually better than Smackdown.
Like 99.9999999% of situations, Gravity is just better than SmackDown. I agree.
Yeah. There was actually Pate did bring a Lando T set with SmackDown where I actually think it was better because of his own Rotom Heat. But otherwise, yeah, that's one of the few times I'm like, yeah, actually, no, you're fucking clever.
By the way, I do think Grim is making some mistakes here in like getting the Registeel, letting the Registeel take as much damage as it did, because the Mew is
that was a riddle play.
The Mew's right there.
No momentum on this Empoleon. Oh my god.
Back in comes Quillfish against the Mew.
Pate has drafted a team that by the way, I think Pate's team is pretty great overall. Even this first team I think was pretty great. And has tons of momentum, but yeah, Pate just doesn't use momentum that much.
Yeah. Now the Lando comes in.
Oh my god, he double dance.
Defense drop comes. Rock Polish.
That's clutch.
So the defense drop lets the Lando take more damage from this crunch. And in comes the Palafin. It's still baby Palafin, but the Jet Punch, with Choice Band, and the defense drop kills through the pass shell. So if this defense drop did not happen, Pate probably loses the game on the spot.
Actually, no, I actually think Pate should. Well, if Pate stays in and clicks it, don't get me wrong, lose the game on the spot. I will give Pate credit, and maybe they did a calculator to make sure it killed. I think if what you do here, if you don't get a defense drop, is you go baby Palafin and you switch out into Rotom and potentially sack Rotom, and then click Jet Punch.
Why even run Smackdown into a Rotom Heat? Just run Stone Edge at that point. Yeah, I can Terra, but
actually no. This is. Do you know what I say here as well? Run Gravity because then you don't miss the Stone Edge.
Yeah, but I mean he's double dance, so then he'd only have a Stone Edge to hit. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. He's double dance now.
Again a para, by the way. So the Registeel, kind of crippled, and now the Sword Sense on the other opponent is very scary.
Trailblaze.
It's not faster than pulled, unless it's Scarf pulled. In comes Honchkrow.
This is going to be sucker. This punch.
Oh,
might matter.
I think it definitely mattered. Oh well, actually, it depends on the item.
As we can see,
I love Pate going. I'm sorry, man. So... I love Pate immediately goes. I'm sorry, man. So what the fuck? That score's quite funny. I don't.
Goes for the parry.
Oh
the
yeah.
Dies now. In comes the Mew, which is parried.
Soft boil.
But we can see this is not Palafin. This is Zoroark and now
Set them as it go.
Grim only has Honchkrow left. And needs some miracle work for this to work. Pursuit's here to kill the Zoroark. Smart. But Palafin goes down.
Dies. Oh shit.
In comes Rotom. But as we can see, this is locked. Gets a crit with the Pursuit, but wasn't enough.
Why would you lock yourself into Pursuit?
To get the Moxie boost in case the Zoroark switched out on the first turn.
But like, whatever switches out, then like
they
comes back in.
They can't lock themselves into the flying move because of Empoleon.
Yeah, so you just do they not have another dark move?
Yeah, no, I think it's Pursuit and Sucker Punch.
That's it. What's the coverage that Honchkrow gets? I guess that's really my question.
He gets flying coverage. I think he gets fighting coverage.
No, I mean like on dark. I mean like on like how many dark moves does it get?
So the kind of weird prep from Pate did pan out, but this is a little bit of an asterisk here because how many luck-based things went right for Pate is insane.
Quite a lot. This was a very hacksy game.
Yeah.
To be fair, if he
This
didn't
was-
just like waste his hazards away at the beginning of the game, it probably wins it way easier too. He should have just killed the Blasters.
Yeah.
I feel this is a Roy game where you just hack your way to victory.
Yeah.
It has Night Slash.
The trend does continue though that while the play is not necessarily the problem for Pate, it is the prep that is like always the issue for Pate. But yeah,
Prey does not envision the game.
This gets us into the
how it would go.
Last prep from Pate. It is against Terminal. We again have a Choice Band Palafin. So Pate brought Choice Band Palafin in 7 out of 9 weeks.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty easy to click moves on that mod, so it's not the worst thing.
Yeah.
But
the thing is set variety. But he finally brought Flip Turn on the fucking Palafin. An offensive Empoleon set with Kataya Berry and Agility and Substitute. Smart. Can work out well. Then Zora Kasui Physical with Sword Stance and Focus Sash. Interesting. Another Focus Sash mon in Rebombi. With Sticky Web, Stun Spore, Energy Ball, and Moonblast.
I remember how for the prep for this game, so I can give some insight as well.
Does he have any hazard control?
The first time Pate has brought Terra Blast on this Rotom.
I can explain the logic for that one.
And then the Ogre Pawn, again with a Sword Stance set with Trailblaze.
Okay, so he has 3 Focus Sash mons. Like a Sturdy and then 2 Focus Sash mons. And there's no hazard control?
No hazard control.
So it's going to be like 3 wasted ability.
And honestly, I will go back. I will say honestly, in hindsight, I would have told him to ditch the Rose set and gone with like a normal standard Empoleon. But I didn't. I was like Rose suggested I did, so I'll leave it. The idea behind the team was as long as he doesn't need Weavile, we go. I'll come back to the Rotom in a minute as well. As long as he doesn't, Rotom actually had calcs for this one, so I kind of get where he went with his way. Rotom. The idea was to lead Soraka-Sui, Sword Stance, as long as they don't have Weavile, but as long as they don't need Weavile. And basically start claiming stuff. If they need Weavile, then the Sorark set doesn't work because Triple Axle is the only thing that stops it from getting at least 1 kill. Because Triple Axle can break Sash. The Rotom was specifically for multiple things, but also it was Terra Steel, Terra Blast for Mega Diancie.
Here. But yeah, some of the sets make sense. Some of the double Focus Sash and a Sturdy Mom without hazard control is definitely interesting. The Empoleon side is
honestly that was probably no time.
But it can work.
Yeah, that was a Rose set. I will say this honestly in hindsight. I don't think the Rose set's bad. I think with me and Pate discussed and what he wanted to bring, I think I should have suggested changing the Empoleon set and having default. I think Jaco is right. That was a mistake. That was a miss on my part, and that's my fault, not Pate's fault. I should have pointed that out. So that's my mistake. I don't blame Pate for that. I should have pointed it out and spotted it myself. Honestly, I think I was also. I think my logic to Pate was to basically try and catch Terminal off guard and throw them off their game plan because Terminal's, no offense to Pate, is quite a bit better than Pate.
Yeah. Here we have Terminal's team. It's Diancie, Mega, Celesteela, Weavile, Hydrapple, Swampert, Nihiligo, Slowbro Gala with Terra, Rotomo, and Komala. What comes to mind for me, looking at Pate's prep, is what's he doing when rocks are up and Celesteela sets up?
Celesteela, where's Celesteela we can handle? Overheat.
Yeah, I guess when you Terra Steel, yeah, you can. But like the Celesteela is probably not setting up anyways until the Rotom has some chip on it, so Definitely
Yeah.
dangerous. Not a lot of prep for the Celesteela specifically. But
Which, to be fair, I actually thought that. I will say this: I didn't think Steeler was coming, so I'm glad I got that call right.
Yeah, you did get that call right. Let's see if Rose and Roy prep could help Pate beat term now.
I will say Pate luckily did not follow the plan lead. So do you know what? That was good by Pate. I'm glad he switched up.
Yeah,
Because Triple Axel would have killed the plan lead. Yeah, that miss is good for us. I like the false switch.
Yeah, why can't
Go
you
on.
go Zora lead with if you're worried about road rebound as like the only thing that can counter, whatever. Why don't you just lead Zora and then fake road up?
Good
Honestly,
question.
you might have actually been cooking there, actually. That's actually a good shout.
Pate here gets the webs down, which is pretty good for him. Switches on the
Chico,
opponent.
you should have helped with scrap. I would have actually said that to Pate. Oh well. Focus Blast is quite good.
Pataya Berry comes out here, but it is still not in range to kill the Slobber, and it hits the second Focus Blast, so down goes the cooking and Poly on set.
Yeah. Okay, here's where Pate made a mistake in a minute. Here. Hard switch out not into Rotom, into Sorak. Be ballsy. Call the rapid spin.
Yeah.
Your plan is involving keeping sticky webs up. Call the rapid spin. Pate actually said after the game that he didn't know that Kamala got rapid spin, and with the most love in the world, Kamala gets like one is basically there for one thing. Backup rapid spinner.
There's three things Kamala does. It's Scarf, Sleep Talk, Last Resort. It's Wish, or it's Rapid Spin.
So most of the time it's Wish and rapid spin. Sometimes AV, but with rapid spin.
Kamala's ability.
What did you say, Dakota? Okay, Dakota was just drowning, I guess.
Dakota, swim for land. You've got this. I believe in you.
Oh, there he is.
That's fair. That's fair. He's made land.
Did I switch my microphone?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it sounded like you were in water.
More defined now.
Yeah, no, because I was laying on my bed using my headset microphone. So, but now I'm using my actual setup microphone. Anyway, if Kamala's ability proc facade, it'd be so goated. But that's just like a random though I just had.
But yeah, Zorik does take down the Kamala now, but in comes the Weavile now, and Rotom has chip on it. In comes Palafin, but which this Rotom Mo answer since Pate does not predict the Ice Punch.
Best Rotom item, yes sir. I even said it in the chat. Oh my gosh, I'll never stop saying it.
Unless you're well, it's the best Rotom item on 3 of the 6 Rotoms, because the other 3 need boots.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, down goes
also
Rotom.
the boots merchant.
Which means Pate doesn't have a Weavile switch in anymore.
That switch
comes the Diancie to Palafin, and since Pate is locked into Ice Punch, he has to switch out. Diancie picks up the kill on Palafin hero, haha, Zoroark. In comes the Ogerpon, which it does still have its intact sturdy. Goes for the Sword Stand. Goes for the Trailblade. The sturdy breaks now because of the...
I think he should have...
He should have...
I don't know.
Ivy Cudgel. Ivy Cudgel does not make contact.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking about, like, if he loses the speed tie to Diancie, then it's over.
Yeah, then it's over, but in comes the Hydrop. Crits the Hydrop, almost kills it, but... And it can't kill back with the Fickle Beam. In comes the Slowbro, dies to the Ivy Cudgel. In comes the Weavile. Ice Shards, and kills.
How is Rock not resisting Ice, by the way? That's just
Rock is an ass defensive typing.
Yeah, honestly, I will say Ice is also bad enough. It doesn't need more things resisting it.
Yeah. And here comes Palafin,
No,
and the Palafin
I said
cannot
like
lock itself into a move to win the game. It's now locked
Ice is
into
one of the best offensive
jet
typing
punch,
in the
so
games.
this grass dragon will easily take those jet punches and just recover
Shout out Hydrapple,
and win.
W3D animation.
Nasty plots as well, just for guaranteeing. This second
DLC
nasty plot might
manga
have been a
3D
little
anime.
BM, but yeah.
Such a dickhead. That's such a so
Anyways,
unnecessary.
yeah. That was Pate's last game. So, this one also came down to prep a little bit and play because, like, of course, like losing the webs made such a big difference.
Yeah, I will say this. I think that's like a minor improvement for Pate. Like that's maybe me being an aggressive player, like and being like, no, do you know what? This is my game
No,
plan. I'm sticking to it.
actually, no. I'm not gonna give him that excuse. I'm gonna say that over these past 2 weeks, he's shown that he gets hazards up and then just refuses to keep them up.
Yeah.
And like is willing to sacrifice them. Because last week he could have had, I think, rocks and 2 spikes up the whole game if he just clicks gunshot again instead of crunch, which you know isn't gonna kill.
But to be
Like
fair,
if
the
you miss
gunshot could have
whatever, but then
missed.
but like if it misses, it's gonna be the same thing as clicking crunch because at least the poison's coming through, and then you just click crunch next turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
And another thing that is big to mention about this game, it's the Empoleon interaction when he brought in Empoleon against Slowbro. I get switching in Empoleon in the first one to like be immune to the Sludge Bomb, but if you're offensive Empoleon, you need to make sure first of all that you have kill ranges already, because as you saw, this did not 2-hit KO the Slowbro, even after the +1 boost. So Slowbro, it has Sludge Bomb, it has Side Shock, which obviously Empoleon doesn't care about a lot. But you have to keep in mind this: all Slowbro, Slow Kings get Focus Blast. So
Yeah.
while it gets you into the Pattaya range, you should probably do the calcs first before pulling going in on Empoleon. What you should have done here, switch Zoroark after to predict like the Focus Blast, because what is it gonna hit you with otherwise? A Flamethrower, which does shit to Empoleon as well. So the only like big thing this Slowbro can click into the Empoleon is the Focus Blast, and you have a normal Ghost type there, which also threatens the Slowbro. So this game was a little bit of mix of both. This game was not could have been played better from Pate. But
yeah. I don't know. It was. I don't know. I just feel like at that point at the end of the season, if you know your season's going, you're probably just trying stuff to try it. I don't know.
Yeah, but Pate and
But like, I don't really
Pate
want to
Eternal have kind of
like,
a rivalry going on where they want to beat each other, and Pate obviously did not win this rivalry match.
a former Cloud player wants to destroy possibly the worst player in our server. That's fantastic. What a ride. Oh my.
Like the
I guess
only
that's
person we
fair,
have currently we had ranked underneath Pate is Savage, and me and Savage had a big talk because he does not want to suck anymore. I explained him like how I think like when I have a good day, for example, and how I think in prep and everything, and it seemed like he absorbed that all. Not like Pate, who when we give him advice, sometimes it bounces off of him.
Savage, the one that asked me, in the lobby. Somebody asked me in the lobby for advice.
I think was it Quiddy? Because Quiddy asked me, and I think
It
me
might have
as
been
well
actually
for
it might have been
advice.
20.
Yeah, but Savage randomly decided, okay, I don't want to suck anymore. Can somebody like give me some advice on some games and how I can improve? And I was there and I helped him with that. And he actually seemed to like take in the stuff I told him, unlike Pate, where it's like bounces off sometimes. So, TLDR now on Pate season. The biggest issue is prep. Pate has no idea how to prep against summons. Pate doesn't check move pools of summons. And Pate tries to lean way too hard into the offensive side of the prep. Pate does not think about his defensive side of prep at all. Like, he doesn't know how to answer threats. Actually, it is a big
Such
issue for him.
horribly utilized. What's it called? Rotom.
Yeah, like the Rotom, like you don't need to go into like such specific IV spreads and everything. Like make the Rotom check something. Not make the Rotom have to do 6 jobs at the same time. Like outspeed this thing, kill this thing, be defensive against this thing, this thing. Rotom can't do all that.
You never want to.
Yeah,
you
it's
never
just
want
not
a
like
Mon in like the mid tier to try to be like a man of many talents but a master of none.
Yeah.
You want the Mon in your mid tier to be like, all right, here's your purpose for this game. You're checking this and this with this setup.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I agree and disagree. You can have the Mon and mid tier be of many talents, but when you bring it to game, it's doing one thing. You don't want it doing everything.
That's what I'm there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you
Just
wanna
clarify that point. Like, there's
run
no
something with many
versatile, but make
talents,
sure it's doing one role.
run your high tiers of many talents, because the reason some Pokemon are high tiers because they have many talents. Like
Just
you ran.
Don't build hybrid Mons. That's
Yeah.
God. That's it. That's it.
Like,
Don't build a Rotom that's like half offensive, half defensive. That shit's not doing anything.
yeah, like also the the variety of your sets was also like pretty fucking bad. Like we mentioned it with the Rotom, basically running the same variation of 6 moves. The Ribombee running the same variation of 5 moves. The Palafin being banded in all but 2 games.
Yeah.
Last season,
And
you brought the same
Palafin especially.
I'm pretty sure every single week.
Because with Bombay and Rotom Heat, you know what? I can actually get those basically being like the same moves every week. Loki, that's honestly not the worst in the world. I don't think it's great, but when you're running the exact same like Palafin and every week, one of the best high tier mons, and you're running it in the same way every week, no, that's just gonna no, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, aside from this last week as well, Empoleon basically had the same set with just different item and different EV spread. Like he did not run Flip Turn on Empoleon once. Like Pate has so much momentum on his team that he could have easily abused, but in the original team and in the new team, but he never used them. Something to mention as well, like you have the Mega Garchomp. Yes, Mega Garchomp is not necessarily like the best mon. You brought it one time. You didn't bring the Braviary Hisui at all.
Mega Garchomp it's so crazy.
Honestly, no. I will say this, Shikota. I will say this honestly. I actually got kill leader that once without Sad. It actually can work, but what you need to do is when Pate bought it, they bought it Dragon Claw, not Scale Shot. You need to always bring it Scale Shot because if you get it timed right, you can break a team. Not necessarily going to always sweep it, it's not always going to work, but you Scale Shot is. Yeah, it's a free Dragon Dance, and with this attack stat, and you can run mix as well. You can be very creative with it.
You can actually run mix, yeah, that's true.
I think maybe because I'm a bit of a cooker sometimes with certain mons, that's why Megatron worked for me. But yeah, Dragon Claw, the ones that he bought, Dragon Claw never. You bring a Scale Shot, you risk the miss, you risk the 50%, the fact they only get 50 damage, because it's worth it for that attack, that speed boost. Because once you get that speed boost, it can start going ham.
Exactly. Like it really seems like Pate fixated too much on some things. Especially like in prep. It felt like way too, how do you say it? Way too simple in prep. Like all Pate thinks about is, okay, how can this mon win? How can this mon win? How can this mon win? Now, not okay, how can I construct this team for a specific mon or this mon to win? It just seems like Pate
have a very linear mindset.
He has a very linear mindset. He doesn't think about the overall arc of the game. It seems like it's just, okay, this turn. He doesn't think about, okay, what could happen the turn after or the turn after that? What happens if I click this move? How will this impact the game sometimes? In general, saying like the play in most of these games was not even was not even a big issue. Like in some games, the play was pretty good. It's just the prep is a huge issue for Pate that Pate needs to fix it. And once he fixes prep, he can focus on getting better at play as well. Because if you prep shit, it doesn't matter how good you play, you will still probably lose if the opponent preps good.
Oh. Yep.
So yeah, to wrap this thing up, for one, Pate, if you have momentum, use momentum. If you have hazards, keep them up. Try to keep them up. And for the love of God, have your mons do one job and not multiple ones. This Rotom was so overworked. It worked like fucking 16-hour shifts at Burger King every fucking day. It came.
Shout out Aaron. Hey man.
Shout out Aaron.
Yeah, no, that's true. Don't.
Look,
If you stress a mon out that's like a glue piece, you're just like your whole structure is gonna fall really quickly.
yeah.
You have to make sure that glue pieces stay up.
We did restrain a lot on hating on Pate. Like we were constructive most of the time, but like here at the end, I do have to say, prep needs to be improved so fucking hard. Like I'm sorry, Pate, but
Yeah, I mean
that's not even
that is constructive. Like if we were being dicks, we'd be like, "Hey, your users." Da, 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 da. No, everything has been genuine advice, even if it has been a bit blunt. Like
Yeah.
we're not going outright to bury Pate because honestly, Pate. There is some matches where Pate did if tweak the set slightly, they could probably win the match.
Yeah.
Even slight improvements, they probably have a 4-5. They have a 4-5 season, which isn't. Don't get me wrong, it's mid-table, but that's an improvement on what they had. So they were. It's not like they're miles off a complete ass.
Or like slight changes in the gameplay, for example, could have also like won Pate some games. Like sometimes the decision making seems like pretty wrong from Pate. Like for example, in this game, like just freely giving up the webs, which are basically essential to your game plan at this point, and then letting the Empoleon go way too early. Like, why are you trying to win the game with Empoleon now if it's not one-shotting everything? It like doesn't make sense to risk the Empoleon right at that point. Then obviously, not intimidate switching in the game against Savage on the Iron Thorn, not immediately taunting it. Like, there's a lot of things that like can be improved on. Like,
not knowing Quillfish got haze.
Yeah.
Never ever bringing Hayes Crawfish to any matchup ever. No, that one I will actually whip into you. Not only the week after I told you about why did you not bring Hayes Quillfish into the Quackquavel, then the next week you basically got fucked over by a Dragon Dance Iron Thorns because you didn't bring Hayes Quillfish again.
Hey man, shout out Iron Thorns.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Pate,
shout out Iron Thorns.
So yeah, Pate. TLDR now at the end. What needs to improve? Prep needs to improve. Knowledge of mons. It seems like you're not putting in the effort to learn about what moves mons get sometimes, and some in-game decision making. Don't think about
like,
the current. Don't think about just the current turn. Think about what turns can have, but what effect your turn has on the next few turns coming up.
Like it's kind of simple too. Let me give you a quick breakdown. So you type in a mon on Team Builder, right? You head over to you click on moves. You click on the categories. So like if you're worried about special attacks, you go to category, click special. And now if you're looking for a certain type because you're blind, you just click on types and then you pick whatever type.
Yeah, you can also.
Don't get me wrong. I know most ones move sets, but I will do the type thing just to go like, hang on a minute, do they get this? Do they get a 4x move for me?
Yes, I always do it. I have I think I have pretty good knowledge. I feel like most people know like on average how many moves and like the type coverage that each mon gets. But
there is some wild ones occasionally.
It never hurts to just double check.
Yeah, like obviously
there's been some battles where I've double checked. Like I'm like, wait, does Ogerpon get a rock move? Oh, it gets rock tomb. I'll switch out my 4x weak mon to rock now.
Yeah, like you don't.
Because I forget Ogerpon gets rock tomb.
You don't have to check every single move on every mon, but like you have to check important moves. That's a huge part.
Like, oh, if I want to set up on this mon, does it have something that can kill?
Yeah.
X my mon.
Okay, I'm about to switch this Pokemon into this Pokemon. Can it hurt it somehow? Like these are the thought processes you need to follow. But yeah.
Yeah, especially
hear me out. Hear me out as well. Not just that. If I switch it and it takes this damage, is it really going to be detrimental, or should I let something else take damage? Like you have to think about those things as well.
Well, I think that this comes back to like basically thinking about future turns, but it doesn't even seem simple as like doesn't have to be as complicated as like chess. Well, if I do this, I do this, do this. But it's also like, right, what is my win con? How do I win this game? How do I lose this game?
Yeah.
Just thinking about that. What is your plan to win, and what is your what causes you to lose? What if you lose a certain piece? Do you lose the game on the spot?
Also, don't fixate on a game plan. If you play the game, okay, your original game plan does not work. Think about, okay, is there another way I can win? And if so, how can I make that other way happen? Take your time. Don't be an impatient dickhead like I am sometimes.
Patience. Hey, man! Shout out Freeze Eye Timer. I'm gonna say it every single time someone says they're impatient, because I have like ADHD sometimes. So like sometimes I just stop thinking during the game. So if you turn on that timer, it's gonna make you like, let me calm down. Let me think. You know.
I have ADHD brain, to be fair, but I think it's the only way my brain will ever think. I'm actually worse when I take time, but there is a balance as well, like between like just rushing turns.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, this was the paid recap. This was paid season. Thank you, Grim. We did the bet. We held our promise. We did give you the reward you wanted. Pate, please say, please try and take this to heart. Yeah. Unless you guys want to say anything else, I will end the episode right here.
I just want to say, Pate, get at least 4 wins next season. I believe in you.
Me and Beerbon are playing tomorrow, 7 p.m. EST. Feel free to show up, guys.
Shout out.
I
will probably be asleep by then, but shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out, guys.
Well, maybe. Yeah, you probably will be.
Anyways, we were the Clodcast. This was paid season recap, and we wish you a good time. Goodbye.
All right, bye.
Ciao.